The Linguistic Institute of the Galactic Collective had been studying the pre-singularity archive for 17 years. Deep within the data vaults lay recordings from an ancient civilization that had vanished 200,000 years before spacefaring races even emerged. Their language was unlike anything modern science had encountered. It was mathematically impossible to produce with any known vocal apparatus. Professor Krell, a Sethrim whose crystalline mind processed language patterns with surgical precision, presented the findings to the assembled academics. The phonetic requirements exceed biological possibility, Krell explained, displaying holographic waveforms. This civilization possessed a language with 47 distinct tonal variations per syllable. Each variation altered meaning completely. Additionally, they employed microvibrations at frequencies only perceptible to beings with their specific hearing range. The language is linguistically dead. We can study it, but no living species could ever speak it. A human linguist named Dr. Sarah Chen sat quietly in the back of the amphitheater. She'd been invited as part of the Human Perspective Initiative, mostly as a courtesy, since everyone understood that human linguistic abilities were functional but unremarkable compared to species that could communicate through pheromones, electromagnetic pulses, or crystalline resonance. She raised her hand. "Yes, Dr. Chen?" Krell asked with mild tolerance. "Can I try speaking it?" Sarah asked. The amphitheater erupted into confused vocalizations. A XORNAK battle theorist actually laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Dr. Chen," Krell said carefully, "I appreciate the spirit of cooperation, but the mathematics are absolute. Even if you somehow produced one correct sound, the complexity would." "I understand," Sarah interrupted gently. "But I grew up speaking Mandarin Chinese as my first language. Can I just try?" Before anyone could respond, Sarah began to speak. The sounds that emerged from her throat were extraordinary. Her voice jumped between tones with precision, high to low to mid-range, each shift carrying distinct meaning. But beneath the obvious tones, something else emerged, subtle microvibrations that made the listening equipment vibrate. Her voice created harmonics with itself, layering meaning upon meaning, each frequency band carrying separate information. She spoke for 30 seconds. Then she stopped. The amphitheater was absolutely silent. What did you just do?" Krell whispered. "I recited the pre-singularity archive's opening passage," Sarah said. "At least, I think so. I learned Mandarin as a child. It has 4 tones plus a neutral tone. My parents taught me to distinguish pitch variations as young as age 3. Then I learned Yoruba in graduate school, which has 3 tones but uses them more subtly. I picked up Vietnamese afterward, 6 tones. And some Cantonese, which has 9 tones." She smiled. The pre-singularity language isn't actually that complicated for someone who grew up with tonal languages. It's just more of them, stacked together. A Kellyan academic stood up, their 3 arms gesturing in agitation. "But the microvibrations? Those require specialized vocal control. Humans don't have." "We actually do," Sarah interrupted. "I learned vocal fry in my 20s while studying phonetics. Combined with normal vocal control, you can produce subharmonic frequencies. It's not natural for all humans, but children who grow up speaking tonal languages develop that capacity automatically. They're literally trained to do it before age 5. She pulled up her own linguistic data. On Earth, approximately 70% of the world's languages use tonal systems. Billions of humans grow up distinguishing multiple tones before they even learn to read. We think of it as completely normal. Krell processed this for a long moment. "You're saying, this ancient language that we deemed linguistically impossible to produce is comparable to what your species teaches to children?" "Pretty much," Sarah confirmed. "I mean, I'm not perfect. I only studied linguistic theory, not the actual language, but the fundamental mechanics are something I've been physically capable of since childhood." She leaned forward. You're thinking about language as a modern species would, based on your own biological limitations. But the pre-singularity civilization must have evolved in an environment where tonal communication was essential. Just like humans did in Africa, Southeast Asia, and parts of the Americas. The assembled academics looked at each other in stunned realization. A Vorthan warrior finally spoke. So, every human child is capable of speaking an impossibly complex ancient language? Not perfectly, Sarah said. But yes, essentially. If you'd given us the archive data 17 years ago instead of declaring it impossible, we could have translated it in weeks. Professor Krell slowly deactivated the presentation. I believe, he said quietly, we have significantly underestimated human linguistic capacity. You've underestimated a lot of things about humans, Sarah said with a slight smile. We're not the smartest species. We're not the strongest. But we evolved on a planet with 7,000 languages, thousands of dialects, and environments that demanded adaptation. She gathered her materials. Maybe next time you encounter something impossible, ask a human first. We might just have kindergarten class for it.